If you've been keeping up with the world of gaming at all, then chances are that you might have heard about what Microsoft's been up to these past few years. As one of the biggest tech brands in the world, this company also has some of the deepest pockets all around. And it's been using them to snatch up studios left and right for its Xbox division. But apart from the obvious reasons of securing exclusive games for their platforms, why exactly are these acquisitions happening, and what does Xbox hope to gain from these investments in the long term? In the console market, there are three major players that are always fighting for dominance. There's Nintendo, which never really seeks to chase trends and instead focuses on innovation. Then there's PlayStation, that has been dominating the home console market for decades. And finally, Xbox, which is the newest player on the scene but is also arguably the underdog. And when I use that word, I mean it in the loosest terms possible, because these are still multi-billion-dollar companies, and Microsoft absolutely dominates the other two conglomerates in terms of size and revenue. What we really mean is that Xbox is the youngest of the three big names, and it's seen its fair share of ups and downs. Released back in 2001, the original console made waves during the sixth generation of consoles with direct support for internet connectivity and their groundbreaking Xbox Live service. This was also the only place where you could actually play Halo, one of the most iconic and groundbreaking titles of all time. These factors helped cement Xbox's place among its competitors and established it as a force to be reckoned with. And when the Xbox 360 finally rolled around in 2005, it saw even greater success, with the PS3 only beating it out by a few million units in sales. So yeah, it was a good time to be a Microsoft fan. But things weren't always meant to be, and Microsoft was soon going to learn a hard lesson about investing in their product. So if things were going all well and dandy, where exactly did Microsoft start to fall off? Well, it all started with the upcoming release of the Xbox One and a heaping helping of overconfidence. You see, Xbox seemed to forget that to get people to play on your platform, you actually need to have stuff worth playing. So in a move that is still baffling to this day, they didn't invest any time or money into producing high-quality exclusives for their platform, and they basically relied on just riding off of the high of the Xbox 360. At launch, both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One had a meager selection of titles to show, but Sony still had a one-up as they managed to at least launch with a big AAA exclusive in the form of infamous Second Son. From there, PlayStation would keep on releasing banger after banger, while the Xbox One struggled to show off anything worth playing, and in fact, cancelled some of their most ambitious projects like Fable Legends and Scalebound. And yeah, there were some really good games like Sunset Overdrive and the Ori titles over the years, but none of them ever managed to be chart-topping bestsellers like Spider-Man, God of War, or Ghost of Tsushima. So to say that the last generation was a disappointment for Xbox would be a massive understatement. So what was the solution that Xbox came up with to tackle this drought of exclusives for their consoles? Well, in the simplest of terms, they started throwing money at the problem, and not in the way you might expect. Instead of starting up new studios and cultivating teams of talented individuals to make games for them, they just straight up bought everyone that was for sale. Starting all the way back in 2014, the then newly appointed head of Microsoft Studios, Phil Spencer, started looking for ways to expand the Xbox division. And one of his first targets was none other than Mojang, the creators of the worldwide sensation Minecraft. The company paid $2.5 billion for the developer, which was considered a monumental amount for a studio back in the day. This was followed up by some other high-profile acquisitions over the years, including respected names like Ninja Theory, Double Fine Productions, Playground Games, and even Obsidian Entertainment. But for the most part, these were still uncontroversial purchases. However, what really set the industry on fire was the decision to purchase ZeniMax Media back in 2020 for an eye-watering $7.5 billion, which was considered to be one of the most expensive studio acquisitions in history. The deal formally closed the following year for a final price of $8.1 billion, and this effectively brought ZeniMax and all its subsidiaries under the control of Microsoft, ensuring that groundbreaking franchises like Doom, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Wolfenstein were now officially Xbox exclusives. And finally, when we all thought there was nowhere else to go from here, Microsoft dropped the mother of all bombs on our heads. In a move that no one could have seen coming, in January 2022, the company announced its intent to purchase Activision Blizzard, yes, that Activision Blizzard, for a staggering, almost mind-bending $68.7 billion. And I've used the word intent here very selectively because even though Xbox game studios would like nothing better than to incorporate Activision into their ecosystem as quickly as possible, there are some antitrust issues here that have to be addressed first. Because of the sheer size of both Microsoft and Activision, the deal is currently under review by multiple government commerce bodies from all around the world, during which they have to approve the merger. And getting that approval is no easy task, and there's a very real possibility that the deal might not go through at all. As of April 2023, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Serbia, Chile, Japan, and South Africa have all approved the acquisition with zero regulatory concessions. Things have been going relatively well for Xbox, and many more countries were expected to approve the acquisition in the coming weeks and months. Or so we thought. Until a bombshell was dropped on the company as we were writing this very script. It has now been revealed that the UK's Competition and Markets Authorities has blocked the deal from going through on their end, claiming that Microsoft's unique position as a leader in the cloud gaming market could give them an unfair edge if the merger was allowed to go through. The CMA reports that the company already has 60 to 70% of the global cloud gaming market cornered, and that allowing the deal to go through would be harmful to the blossoming sector. And make no mistake, regardless of what side you're on, this is a very valid point to make. And Microsoft on their end is determined to fight this ruling, and they are hard at work this very moment to get the CMA to reconsider their position because they really want this thing to go through. If this merger goes through, it will make Microsoft the biggest entity in the video game industry and bring countless franchises under their command, including, but not limited to, Diablo, World of Warcraft, Crash Bandicoot, Guitar Hero, and the holy grail itself, Call of Duty. It will single-handedly shift the balance of power in favor of Xbox and drive millions upon millions of new players to the platform. Because lest we all forget, even the worst reviewed COD games sell millions of copies, and those titles will then solely be played on an Xbox. But as of now, all of this is speculation, and again, there is still the very real chance that the acquisition might not go through. And if that happens, Sony, who has been fighting hard to prevent the deal, will manage to retain their leg up on the competition. Now, the question to ask is, what exactly is the end goal of Microsoft and all these acquisitions? And the answer to that is fairly simple. Apart from wanting to grow their player base and sell more exclusives on Xbox, the company has been working on building up a subscription service of its own. The Xbox Game Pass, as it's called, is one of the best deals in gaming right now, and it gives players access to hundreds of different titles, including several Xbox Game Studios' first-party exclusives on day one. Players have gotten to play AAA games like Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite for the cost of a simple subscription, and the company intends to release all future exclusives, including the upcoming Starfield, on the service in the same way. Like many other conglomerates, Microsoft seems to fully believe that subscription services are the future, and it is committed to its own one hard over the past few years. Millions have been paid to secure the rights to put games onto the service, and the end goal seems to be to make sure that all of the best and biggest blockbusters are available on it day one. And as far as the perspective of an average gamer is concerned, this is great news so far. You can pay as little as $10 a month for a membership right now and enjoy some incredible titles for a full month, and that is, without exaggeration, basically a steal. No wonder over 25 million users were subscribed to Game Pass in 2022 alone. And even though Microsoft has been very clear that they might increase the price of the service going forward, I don't think the price hike will hit them too hard, because as long as the promise is there, the promise that you can play the new Fallout or the Elder Scrolls for a fraction of the price, people will stick with the brand. The only problem, however, is that Microsoft hasn't seemed to have produced too many tangible results so far. With all these different acquisitions and studios under their belt, they still haven't quite produced any major AAA bangers so far. Meanwhile, Sony keeps pumping out multiple blockbusters each year for the PS5, while the Xbox Series X and S have pretty much next to nothing to show. So let's hope that this is the year that Microsoft finally picks up the pace and shows us something other than Starfield, which, lest we forget, was originally supposed to come out last year. So come on, Xbox, show us what you have in store already.